What's up, everybody? How's it going? It's been a while since I've been on my this YouTube channel going live stream anyways. Just click all these live streams. Cool. Yeah, how's it going, everyone? I figured in this video, it's been a while since I've made a Bitcoin specific video, but I figured I'd kind of go over some Bitcoin related stuff. So for those who don't know, I've been a little obsessed with Bitcoin, money, history, the economy, Fed, just kind of how everything works since like 2015, 16, something like that. And thousands of hours I've spent just kind of learning how money works and how our economy works, and there's a lot. But I kind of want to share with you a bigger picture. I get asked a lot of times if I'm selling my Bitcoin, if I'm buying Bitcoin, if Bitcoin's reached its top. I get asked if I'm selling Bitcoin all the time, which is kind of funny. In fact, the other day, I was with somebody and they said, he's seen him in years, and he was like, oh man, looks like Bitcoin took a tumble, huh? And I'm like, since 2 years ago when I saw you, since a week ago, it's literally at its all-time high. It's down 6K from 100. Anyways, it was just like, that's just how people are, right? They remember the bad days, but not the good. And there's a lot of bad days. Way more than good. Way more. But, yeah. So, I also wanted to go over, not just like the history of Bitcoin and how money works and everything, but all this kind of relates to, not kind of, it very much relates to the price of Bitcoin, how high Bitcoin can go. And of course, because of, Elon Musk and Donald Trump, and there's a lot of things going on right now that are specifically pro Bitcoin. But I'm not here to tell you what Bitcoin's going to do. I'm here to kind of give you information of what's happened in the past. There's a lot of things that have 100%, not guarantee, but 100% of the time, this one thing has happened every single time, sort of stuff. But we'll kind of go over everything. I'm also streaming this on like multiple platforms. So I haven't done this in, actually I've been trying to figure this out for a long time, but bear with me. I need to open Facebook. This is the price, by the way, of Bitcoin. How do I open this? Open Sesame. Wait. You don't need to turn the volume up. Jeez. Alright. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 chats open. I have one more to open. This is crazy. Oh, there I am live. Cool. All this works. Alright, turn that down. What's up, guys? Whoa, I actually have a bunch of viewers on TikTok. Who knew? Tickety tock, tickety tock. That's cool. Oh, this is how. stack them. Sweet. Well, yeah. I'm live. Oh shoot, I did that. How's it going? All right, let's get started on this. And then this is X. Oh yeah, I have one more on my phone. Does this show that I'm live? Oh shoot, it does. Is there any? How do I go to the? All right, whatever. So, boom. So yeah, this is the. Oops, am I in the wrong window? Oh, I did not want you to open that, but whatever. All right, so what I'm looking at right now, what you're looking at, how long does this take to start? 6 minutes? Jeez. What we're looking at here on the, here, this is CoinGecko. This is the, this is where you can go to essentially get the pricing of what Bitcoin and other, hold on, let me turn the volume down to this. There you go. I'm also shooting vertically and horizontally, and so I'm trying this out. We'll see. There's a lot going on right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 live streams on horizontal and vertical. Oh, boom. Anyways, but yeah, CoinGecko is where I go. A lot of people go to CoinMarketCap.com, but Binance bought it, and I went to it every day. I knew what it looked like, and overnight, drastic changes in the benefit of Binance. So all of a sudden, Binance tokens were trending. They were number one. It's like, really, dude, you spent all that money? Anyways, so I use CoinGecko. For pricing, for anything, it's kind of like the main hub. What I open every day, essentially, to kind of get crypto information. But yeah, we see, Bitcoin last 30 days is up 38%. And you have a 7-day trend, 24-hour. Oh man, I actually can't see all this right. Oh man, do I really need to? I don't want to do that. I didn't think this was going to be this annoying. Alright, let's do 50. It's not really gonna help, is it? Anyways, I'm sorry, I'm on the phone as well, so I can't widen this. I'm doing a test on the phone, but yeah, shows what the current price is. It also shows when you scroll over, you're going to see the total market cap as well as the total supply of the tokens, or what that would be if it was fully diluted, as well as what it's at right now. So, for example, this is the volume. So, oh, there we go. That makes it a lot easier. This is why this site's cool, or whatever. Anyways, so yeah, it shows 24-hour volume. So this is big because, there's a lot of tokens that are trading a lot. Like, for example, this is kind of weird. The BNB, the volume on the BNB is only 2 billion, yet it's a $88 billion market cap. There's XRP, which is actually 5xing the trade volume, and it's a lower market cap. So there's actually more volatility when it comes to trading XRP than BNB. But this kind of gives you an indication of what tokens people are buying and selling, and how popular they are, that sort of thing. Especially when you get down to like the 180, tokens or something, you'll see a lot of volume fluctuation changes quick, and you can tell if it's by one person or multiple, to give you an idea if it's fake inflation or whatnot. But market cap. Okay, I'm explaining this to people who don't really know what Bitcoin is, don't really know what money is, currency, how the economy works, what the Fed is, So if I'm speaking to you like you're dumb, I'm sorry. It's more like I'm speaking to myself when I was first learning this. I was an idiot. But yeah. Now, this is important when it comes to how high the Bitcoin's price can go, the market cap, and which we'll talk about in a bit. Well, in fact, let's hop into the market cap, because this is really important when it comes to. Okay, here's the question I get asked all the time, and people always give weird answers. I like to stick to facts. So here's the question I get. How much, okay. Normally I don't get it with Bitcoin. People think that Bitcoin's hit its top, which you're wrong. Completely wrong. Even if it goes back down to 10K, it's going back over this. But anyways, but I get asked a lot, like for instance, Ethereum. A lot of people think a project like Cardano or a project like Solana, or Tron. These are all tokens that are competing with Ethereum. And so I get asked a lot, like, or Doge. I get Doge competes with Bitcoin. It's actually the only one in the top 10 that competes with Bitcoin. I mean, in a sense of it being a decentralized economy. The USD is, it's just dollar pegged, so it's Tether, centralized. XRP is more of a currency exchange, getting rid of Swift sort of thing. BNB is an exchange token. And then you have Solana and Cardano competing with Ethereum. These are stake tokens on Ethereum. That doesn't count. But yeah, so how much Dogecoin do I need in order to, if it took over Bitcoin? Like how much money do I need to put into Dogecoin? And if Dogecoin ever hit Bitcoin's price, what do I need to earn $1 million or whatever? And so let's answer that, but let's also answer that with I'm going to answer that a couple of different ways. So first of all, something you need to understand, price is completely irrelevant. Has nothing to do with the success of a token or a coin or a project or whatever. I know that might sound weird, but if this said $600 million, it could be the exact same value as it is right now. And I'll show you what I mean by, let's hop into, in fact, let's hop into, Uniswap is a decentralized exchange. Okay, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go into Luxo. That's my favorite project. It's made me poor. So Luxo is a project that was created by the same person who created Ethereum's ERC20 token and standardized it. So this project Luxo is essentially creating like a decentralized creative economy. So essentially, it connects the digital and the physical world. So, you buy a pair of Nikes, that Nikes is also unique in that now you can attach it to your video game character, your Snapchat filters. You now have a digital pair that is only one of those, like an NFT digital pair paired with a shoe. And now you can sell that digital pair to another video game character on, whatever. That's like the economy that it's kind of created. It's also going to help with, I'm like selling the token juice. But it also helps with like throwing, if you know where products come from. So it helps with supply chain, helps with identity. But it essentially allows for a lot of capabilities that the ERC20 token just can't do. But I'm sure it for sure can once you start adding layers. The more layers you add, you can start doing more and more stuff on any token. But anyways, all that being said, that's not the point. The point is, I thought this was going to load. Come on. Is there, maybe I can F12 it into a phone display? Nope. That is unfortunate. How much wider do I need to go? Okay, cool. So, Luxo right now is $1.50. So if somebody asked me how much money, and this is relevant to any token. So any token you want, you can go to it. The math is exactly the same. So I have a dream home that's $2.5 million. And I want to throw $1 million in the bank to get residuals and be able to live off of 50, 60K a year if everything's paid off, and maybe throw an extra 10, whatever. So maybe my number is 5 million. I don't know, but I'm gonna stick with 1 because it's easier for math. The M word, and say if I want $1 million, how much money do I need to invest in this token to be $1 million? And so there's a couple of different ways of answering this. So for instance, okay, cool, I'm using the same window on both. If we go Dogecoin, for instance, if Dogecoin reaches around, if it becomes a new Bitcoin or the Bitcoin, it's not going to do that, but it could get up to the Ethereum price for sure. And so there's a lot of room for this to grow, and we know that because if we scroll over, we can see the market cap. This is what's relevant. Price, who cares? Dogecoin could be $600 million for one token. It could be 0.000000006 pennies for one token, and the value of the entire project could be exactly the same, because market cap and circulating supply determine the price. So when you're trying to figure out, this is the biggest problem people make. It's so weird. The problem still exists. But they're like, 37? Oh my gosh, wait, let's take a calculator and let's do 92,619 divided by, wherever the Doge divided by this, and let's see how many X's it'll go up. Let me pull a calculator and show why this is wrong. Oh, of course, I need to source this. Sorry, I'm streaming on 6 platforms, and I have 3 screens I'm messing with, a vertical and a horizontal. I've got 6 chats, 5, 6 open. We're trying to figure stuff out. I'm hoping to launch all this on my new brand or whatever in January, but sorry, I'm pulling a calculator so you can see my calculations. I want to display capture, window capture. Window? Yeah, window. In a new source, we're going to call this calculator. Calculator. And I want the window to be calculator. Sweet. Alright, we're gonna try this and hopefully it. Oh, wait, there you go over my face. Face! Move this guy over on the market. This or that guy over there. Actually, I want to see the current price. Half of you don't know what I'm talking about because you don't see the three. Anyway, all right. So here's the wrong calculations people do. They say, Bitcoin is this price, right? So I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna say, how much can Dogecoin gain if it just hits anywhere close to the Bitcoin price? So they take the entire Bitcoin price and they divide that by their token, and essentially, if this 37.3761 pennies, or 3 pennies and 7/6 of anyways, 0.3 pennies and 7, anyways, you know what I'm talking about. This goes into Bitcoin 245,681 times. So a lot of people are like, "Whoa! If I bought Dogecoin and it even became 10% the value of Bitcoin, like times 0.10%, that's still a 24,000x gain." But that's wrong thinking. Hey, I have an echo? Thank you. Thank you. All right, I'm monitoring. Let's do one of these. All right, it's not TikTok. It's not Instagram. It's not Facebook. Oh, shoot. I cannot believe I have like Adobe 3D. Okay, I need to close this program. I don't need this open. I don't know what's echoing. The desktop audio to trigger the background? Let me turn off my monitoring. Is that better? I just turned off the monitoring on my earbuds. Which sometimes the monitoring of my earbuds is also picked up by the desktop. Appreciate that, by the way. I'll wait for that. Hopefully this has fixed it. If not, I will look into it again. So, anyway, so yeah. Don't take the price of the Dogecoin or whatever token you want and divide it by the price of whatever token you think it's going to get to, because that's absolutely not the way to do it, and you're going to lose a bunch of money if you think that way. So the correct way, oh sweet, perfect. So the correct way is to look at the market cap. So I'm going to go into Luxo, just because that's the fun one to do. And I'm going to compare it to Ethereum, just because it's a competitor to Ethereum. It's actually not, but it's in the ecosystem of Ethereum, I guess. It's not trying to be the be-all everything that Ethereum is, but it's taking a very significant, like interesting portion of that that's difficult to deal with, which is the digital to physical world. So I'm going to compare it to this, but actually, you know what? I'm going to compare it to the top 50 coins. I'm going to say, hey, if my token, whatever token it is, everyone finds these meme coins and they're like, oh, there's only $1 million market cap, or whatever. So let's say my project, Luxo, let's say if it got into the top 50, how much money could I make if it just got into the top 50? Now, the reason why that statement is important is because if you want to make $1 million and you want to know how much money do I need to invest in this project to make $1 million? Yeah, thanks. Nice to see you. Yeah, I live stream now multiple times a week. I do it on my other channel, but I'm officially connecting everything January, but podcasts and it's all sorts of, hopefully, but yeah, appreciate it. Thank you for stopping by. Sorry guys, I have like 6 chats open. I'm a freaking maniac here. I don't know what I'm doing. But so yeah, I want to make $1 million, and I have this project I believe in, and I think it could get to, I think it's worth this project that's a lot higher than it. So how much money should I invest in it if I want to make $1 million, sort of thing? Kind of like, hey, there's a new car company and I think it's going to be better than Tesla or something. How much money do I need to invest in this car company? And if it just became half the value as Tesla, how much would my investment be, sort of thing? That's all I'm kind of doing with crypto. So I want to make $1 million. I think the top 50 is very reasonable for this project. I think it's a top 5 coin for sure. But you can't listen to me. Can't listen to people if they're invested in projects. You just can't listen to them. Not that they're lying to you, but they could be lying to themselves, if you know what I mean. So the market cap of the top 50 is this middle number. So 3 billion. So this is the value of the 50 project. Or whatever, right? Maybe there's a new privacy token. You're like, oh, I think it's better than Monero. So how much can this privacy token gain if it gets to be as big as Monero? It's the market cap. So market cap is 3 billion. We're going to take this. We could just do an even 3 billion, but whatever. We're going to go to our calculator, put in the 3 billion. And then we're going to go to Luxo, or whatever token that you think is going to hit that first token's price or value, I guess, not price. And we see the market cap of Luxo. Again, who cares about the price? I feel like I say that 600 times every time I do these. Market cap is 45 million. So these are the two numbers. It's a 3 billion. The other company's a 3 billion market cap. This one's a 45 million. So all I would do is just take the market cap of the project I think it's going to be in, and then take the market cap of the project I think is going to increase in price, and divide it into it, right? So if this project got to the 50 rank in the top crypto projects at the current price, it could change. The price, right? The value of the top 50 could easily change over the next year, 2, 3, 4, right? As time goes. But it would do a 67x. So whatever money you put in would 67x if it just got to the top 50. So then all you do is take $1 million, divide that by 67, and if you put 15 grand into Luxo and it got to the top 50, that 15 grand would be worth $1 million. So that's how you do the math. Now, I'll do that example again with another token. I'll do it with Dogecoin and Bitcoin. Yeah, thank you, appreciate it. Let me tell you why the price doesn't matter. So the price is actually created by the circulating supply of the token. So, for example, what the market cap means is people have put in $45 million worth of money, and that's actually not true. It's a lot less than that. Anytime you see a valuation or price of a project or a token, there's not actually that amount of money in. There's like this trading algorithm that decides pricing. Price is dictated by, trading bots and all this stuff. So, but just to make things easy, let's just say $45 million. So now of that 45 million, that gets divided into these tokens, and then that equals the price. So it's a $45 million project, and there are circulating supply is 30 million tokens. So that's like it's like 1.5. So essentially 30,000 tokens or $45 million market cap divided by a 30 million token supply ends up being around 1.5. So each token would be worth $1.50 ish. So which is right there. But if the circulating supply, let's say this went to let's say we added another 30 million or whatever. So if we added another 30 million, doubled the circulating supply, then essentially it wouldn't be 1.5 because we'd have 60 instead of 60 million tokens, but the valuation of the market cap is 45. So then we'd take the $45 million and divide it by the 60 million circulating supply, and then the price would be under $1. So let's say we took the circulating supply and we made it one token. There's only one token. That one token would be worth $45 million, and it'd be a $45 million project. And you could buy, 1/1,000,000th of a fraction of this one token, and you could have a 0.0000. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how everything works. But which is interesting because that's how a lot of these projects like XRP or Dogecoin was a huge one. Dogecoin came out as like 0.00000, and so a lot of people are like, dude, I get $1 and I just get all these tokens, right? But that $1, like the price was irrelevant. It's that market cap that's important. Another thing I see people mess up on all the time is people will send me these articles and they're like, dude, this guy did a 12,000% gain in one day. It's like, well, okay, so the market cap was worth $400, and then the guy put in a few $1,000s, or someone bought it. Someone put a few $1,000s into the project, and so that like $20 token at 20, whatever, but it's not like, if the project is worth $1 and I put in $1 in it, and then somebody put in $1,000, I just 1,000x'd my gain. Then it's like, well, if I put in $600, then I'd have 600,000. That's not how it works. It wouldn't have gone up that much. It's not like just somebody put in $1,000 and the market cap was the entire project was worth $1. So you just 1,000x'd the project's value and overnight, but you didn't make millions. And so I see this all the time. 1,000,000% gain overnight is still happening. 12,000% gain overnight. It's like, well, okay. So they put in $300 and they were able to take out, 8,000 or something, or, but it makes it sound like they just put in a few $100. Now they bought a home. That's just not how things work. But let's take the Dogecoin, just kind of mess with that. So if we were to take the market cap of Dogecoin, and divide that by the market cap of Bitcoin, Bitcoin. Okay. So if Dogecoin overtook Bitcoin or became as valuable as Bitcoin, it would do 33x. So again, if you wanted to see how much Dogecoin you need to buy to make $1 million, well, if you think this is where the speculation comes in. If you think that Dogecoin can hit the price of Bitcoin or take over Bitcoin, then that's a 33x gain. So we take $1 million, divide that by 33. You would need to put in $30,000 into Dogecoin in order for it to hit that Bitcoin. So this is where like people have, a few $100s they want to gamble with, and they're like, should I buy Bitcoin? It's like, well, you didn't buy it at 3,000. You didn't buy it at 12. You didn't buy it at 20. You didn't buy it at 40, 50, 80. But you want to buy it at 96,000. That's fine. But just know, like, you could go up to 150 and then drop down under 90 and not see that 100K price for a few years again. And you could be holding on onto your bags for a minute. So, oh, by the way, there is one important thing I forgot to mention. That is the increase of price, as like, for instance, okay, let me back up. Jeez, this is the problem with ADD. Does anyone have ADD? I just thought of like 6 things I want to talk about at once, and now I just forgot about everything I was talking about before. And now all I can focus on is the 6 things that I already forgot about, but I do remember one thing right now. Wait, what was I talking about? You guys know what I'm talking about. Does anyone's brain work that way? Anyways, one really important thing is the entire market cap of crypto is $3 trillion right now. So yes, I mean, this is all quotes, I'm just a scenario I'm giving. So yes, if Dogecoin became as valuable as Bitcoin right now, it would do a 30x. However, let's say Bitcoin doubles in price. Now Bitcoin's worth 200K. Well, now the roof just got a lot higher. And so if it got to the old Bitcoin price, it's a third, it's a whatever, 30x or whatever. If it got to the new Bitcoin price, I can't remember, 33, then it would be a 66x, right? And then you only need to put 15K in order to hit that current Bitcoin price, sort of thing. But the reason why that's important as well is we take a thing, we take that, like when we talked about Luxo, the project I'm for some reason sucked into, and LUKSO, come on. And we say, okay, the market cap of Luxo is 45 million. Well, if we took, we did the top 50 before, but let's say we think it could be as big as Ethereum, Ethereum's price, then we would essentially take Ethereum's market cap, 393,477,460,534, and we divide that by market cap of Luxo, and that's at 8,611x, I guess, gain. Jeez. Which would mean, okay, 8,611. Take that $1 million, divide that by 8,600. Uh-oh. What did I do? 11? I think I did that wrong. 1 million divided by 8,611. There we go. That means if Luxo ever became the price of Ethereum, I would only need to invest $116 in order for me to make $1 million. So look, I'm talking to the gamblers right now, by the way, the addicts, the degens, the irresponsible people. Don't take my words for advice, as I don't know what the hell I'm talking about type of people, right? For you, This is where altcoins become really fun, because here's the problem that people do with altcoins. Well, again, don't listen to anything I'm saying. This is the addict, gambler, pretend, liar guy. Everything I'm saying is make believe. But the the addict, gambler side, obviously, I'm like, whoa, I only put $116,000 into this, and then I could become a millionaire. Well, I'm gonna put in $1,000. I'm gonna put in 10,000. I'm gonna go all in. And then it crashes, it rug pulls, the project doesn't pan out, whatever the case. And then they lose their money, or it just doesn't go up, or whatever the case. So I like to have a portion of my money to gamble with. And this would be one of those, like, hey, you might have like 15, 20 projects, and you're like, I don't know, they all kind of seem cool. Everyone's telling me to invest in whatever. Well, these projects that are on like, page 80 or whatever the case, I have a whole process of reviewing tokens, reviewing projects, reviewing, and I would love to maybe one day on live stream for hours, just go through projects, because I have a system. I'm pretty methodical, and when it comes to memes, when it comes to things that go viral, when it comes to that, I can't really predict. But it's really easy to see, this person was the CEO of Microsoft, back when in the transition of, Steve Jobs and whatever. This person ran Pixar when Steve Jobs was whatever. This is the lead producer of this, and they're doing this film thing. Like, this seems like a cool project. Oh, wow. Looks like BlackRock's an investor. Oh, wow. Looks like. So there's some things you can look at to kind of see if it's a good project. But those are the ones where it's like, hey, if you have like $100 you can throw a month on degen projects sort of thing. Why not throw $20 into a couple projects a month, or whatever the case, or 50 into one or two, because then you could have, I don't know, you could have 100 these little crappy projects, and if just one takes off. But the problem is people might put in 400, 300, whatever, and then all of a sudden they're like $15,000-$20,000 into it, and none of the projects pump. Maybe one of them went like 700, but it doesn't make up for the rest, or whatever. So anyways, that's a whole other ball game. That's on, but $116 will give you $1 million if this project became as big as Ethereum. Now, again, is that a $3.28 trillion market cap? What if the market cap doubled, which this is going to be, time is who knows, but for sure we're going to be over 10 trillion and 100 trillions. Like, this is going to be a forever growing thing, especially if we're adding like 80% of all the money that was ever printed in this country was printed in like 2020 and 2021. So it's like next year we could double the entire economy again by printing. And if we double the money that we just got in by printing out of nowhere, then obviously the market cap could double, because now we have double the money to put in, so that's the kind of mindset behind that. Now when it comes to people asking, are you selling Bitcoin? How high can Bitcoin go? All this stuff. There's a lot of, I'm going to call them wrong answers out there. Mine's probably wrong too, actually. It is wrong for sure. It's opinions stuff, right? But I try to, well, it's opinions in the fact that I'm taking a bunch of facts and I'm presenting them in a way that might not be fully, I might not have the entire picture, sort of thing. That's kind of how everyone should be looked at. People look at people on YouTube, it's like, oh, you made a YouTube channel, you must know what the hell you're talking about. No, dude, I literally work with people that have tens of millions of subscribers. They don't know shit. I mean, not all the time. Anyways. Now I'm going to go into a couple deeper levels that most people don't care about for some reason. I feel like you should care about it, especially when it's like, hey, 100% of the time in history, every single time a nation has fallen due to its economy, due to fiat currency, due to like 100% of the time, it has happened in an exact way. And we have been doing this exact way since 1913, and it's been predicted for over 100 years. That what's happening today was predicted over 100 years ago. For some reason, people don't care about that. People want to know when moon, which I get it. We all want to not work our stupid, shitty jobs. I love my job, by the way. But regardless, we want to be able to decide what we want to do, right? So anyways, this is, I'm gonna kind of go over the bigger picture, I guess, of what, of how high Bitcoin can go. I'm not going to answer it really with a number because you can't, and I'll tell you why you can't. But I do think Bitcoin's going to be $1 million coin for sure. Like, I have no doubt in my mind. Whether that happens in 2 years or 10 years or 50 years, I don't know. It depends on how stupid we are with our money. Which last 4 years, the dumbest we've ever been with our money was the last 4 years. The dumbest we've ever been with our money before that was 2008. Like, and I'll go through all this. ADD, guys, ADD. Make sure am I showing this on both screens? No, don't go full screen, bruh. Sorry, I'm doing a vertical and a horizontes. Okay, let me do this. Sorry, I'm moving video. Give me a sec. Bear with me. Bear with me. One down. One to go. All right, that'll work. So first I'm going to go over and talk about what real money is, because a lot of people don't understand the difference between fiat currency and money. And there's a lot of misconceptions about like gold being backed by dollars and everything. So let me actually do this instead. I'll end on this. Let's start with 1913. Okay, let's start with this. Cool. So, okay. So like I told you before, this has been predicted for over 100 years. In fact, it's been predicted thousands of years ago, over and over and over and over and over, and it's been predicted. And it's been predicted because we do the same thing over and over. So it's like, well, we've done the exact same thing that's led to failure, like a couple hundred times, civilizations have fallen. And, like, since there's 100% accuracy rate, I think it's a pretty good like line, So anyways, I'm going to talk about that line of 100% accuracy rate of an economy crashing down to zero that we're on, the track that we're on. Unless Elon Musk and Donald Trump do something in the next 4 years, which is going to be crazy. Donald Trump and Elon Musk talking about abolishing the Fed. Holy crap. Literally the biggest news in the last 100 years. Would be the biggest and most important thing that the country has done. Is that right there. And I'm gonna talk about it why right here. So here's the deal. This is a graph of the United States dollar going from $1 down to a 30x decline, 32 or something like that. So meaning you had what cost $1 in 1913 now costs like 31, 32 bucks, something like that. Probably a lot more because the stats I have are a year old. I last looked at or whatever, but still. So if you bought a house in 1913, that house would be 32 times more expensive today. And so now this is normal. This happens all the time. Oh, we're used to it. Everyone's heard the stories of grandpa being like, oh, when I was a kid, gas was only 4 cents and the candy bar was only a nickel. I walked uphill both ways, right? Those type of stories. So we just know that, yeah, grandpa, because you're old as crap. Of course things cost, a penny when you were that old. Because that's the way the world works. Things get more expensive, right? that's the problem, by the way. That's the problem right there. And the world has done such a good job at having it look like that's normal. That's everyday business. Hey, things go up in price. Inflation is normal, 4% every year. Hoo-ah. That's the United States. What they try to aim for. Not the United States, but the economists that do have a Keynesian, right? Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on words. That's the wrong word. But anyways, a meta. Oh my gosh, why am I blanking on the word? Anyways, it's the kind of economy we're in right now. But so let me tell you why they say the Fed was created, and there was a problem too. So of course, like a lot of lies are buried in real truth. But when the United States was created, essentially there wasn't a national anything, right? We just came from king, and that king dictated everything. So yeah, you put nation police in my state. Yeah, we'll see how well that works. Oh yeah, tell me that the government's going to control my money. We'll see how well that works, right? And that's how people were in when the country got started. They just came from pretty much a dictator sort of thing, right? So you would have banks and governments, like all these like different like areas. You go to a different state, they would have different rules, different and so you would have like banknotes, but you'd like go to a different state, and these banknotes at the time would be like, hey, this is worth $200, but it's worth $200 in a bank that's in a different state or whatever. So and that's kind of how it worked. And then banks got bigger, and then you'd have banks that like, hey, this bank is available all on the East Coast, right? Kind of like now. You go to different states or across the country, you see new banks that are smaller. So same sort of thing, except if one of the banks failed and they did bad loans and stuff, then what would happen is they would get freaked out. Oh crap, the bank doesn't have our money. And then the other banks around would start feeling the pressure, because people are like, oh crap, all these people lost their money. Is my money safe in my bank? And they would do these like little bank rushes. And essentially, here was the solution. Get rid of it. I mean, it's just from an article, but it's exactly what took place. The article doesn't really. We should have found like an actual government something. I don't know. Anyways, doesn't matter. But the important part was essentially. There we go. So before the Federal Reserve, banks had to have 25% of the deposits inside their bank. So if you gave them $1, they would need to have a quarter of that dollar saved. And then they could loan that other 75 cents out. And so essentially, like if somebody wanted a loan, they could take the 75% money that should be in the vault, and they could write a note saying that they actually have that money, even though they don't. And so, which is crazy, because imagine you being able to have $1,000 and be able to keep that $1,000 and gamble away or invest or whatever $750 of it, and still have that $1,000, or be able to somebody, or if you were the bank, right, somebody gives you $10,000, it's like, well, cool, now I have an extra $7,500. I can now gamble that $7,500 and put it into even like an S&P 500 sort of thing, and I'm making 10% off of $7,500. It's not mine, and then I'm going to give back 0.05% or whatever. So that was kind of the goal. Now, if banks made bad investments, then there's a buffer of leeway between the bad investments and that what they actually had to have in the vaults. But essentially, if everybody came to that bank and if only 25% of the people said, I want my money back, it would make the bank have no money. And so that was a problem, obviously. So how they fix this is like the banks would say like, hey, like there's rumors of our bank not being solvent. Obviously we are. And or maybe they're not, I don't know. But they'd say, can we borrow money from you, or can you write us notes saying that we have money, and pay these people out with your bank notes because you're trusted. And then once these people realize like, hey, the money's safe, then they'll come back and return those or give them back to you or whatever. And so banks would make agreements saying, hey, if we go under, I can lean on you to help you give me money to keep the faith in the people, right? So all the time, every like 5, 6, 7, 8 years, a bank would crash and it would be really bad. Let's see. How many crashes? Economy. Oh my gosh, place. USA history. Wow, that was a search. But 48. As many as, right? So around 48 times crashes happened where a recession has taken place somewhere in the country, sort of thing. So the Fed, the point of the Fed was to essentially say, hey, we're going to take all of the nation's banks and we're going to put them under one umbrella. I know you hate the government. It's not going to be government owned. I know you hate big business. It's not going to be big business owned. It's going to be a relationship between two. So not one of them is fully trusted. And we're going to call this the Fed. And the Fed is going to be in charge of all of the bank's money. We're going to be at the top, and then we're going to loan out that money to you guys. That way, if this bank over here has a problem, we can take money from this bank and put it over there. And that way, there's no more crashes. And also, if there's banks doing irresponsible loans, we can step in. This is what the Fed's saying. So, all I'm saying is good stuff, right? Like, people are losing their houses, they're losing their money, they have no way, they have to hoard gold, but that's dangerous, they're getting robbed. Like, they just need to be able to keep their money somewhere safe. That's a huge problem, and every few years a crash happens. So the Fed's like, dude, we got it covered. And so all these banks will make sure that we know what everyone's doing, it's all under the same roof, and it's not controlled by, one major source. And in fact, the government isn't even allowed to come in and dictate how we spend our money. That way we can't get taken over by the government. All that stuff sounds good, right? So I have all my computer parts and I'm rebuilding my PC right now. But anyways, so that was the point of it. Great, right? Now, a lot of people were like, wait. Big business and government getting together and dictating how we live our lives. Obviously, people were a little skeptical, and they actually passed it like Christmas Eve night. They threw in some things the last minute. One of those things. It's like a document that's this thick, and anyways, it was kind of shady how it was passed, but there's a book called Return of the Jekyll Island, the Return of Jekyll Island. No, the Jekyll at Rhode Island. Federal Reserve, Return of Jekyll Hyde, something. Anyways, Island, something like that. Oh my gosh. Jekyll Island Fed. The creature from Jekyll Island. Oh my gosh. It took a million years. Anyways, then it goes over that meeting. But a lot of crazy stuff happened to get this passed. So, 1913, great. Now the economy's fixed forever. We have a perfect solution. The Fed's taking care of everything. Yay, right? And at this time, by the way, dollar was backed by gold. So it was actually backed by a real physical asset. Everything was great, right? 1913. Now, here's also an interesting fact. The United States has almost gone to war a lot, but we didn't because the people of the country did not want to go to war. Because that's how the wars were decided. If one president was an a-hole and didn't like a country, like he couldn't go on some like bender and just like, whatever. Like, this is controlled by people, not by a king. We got rid of the king a long time ago, right? This is democratic, right? So wars are supposed to be voted on by the people. But because and here's why, because the United States couldn't fund it. We only had a certain amount of gold in the reserves, and so the government had to go to the people and say, people, we need you to help fund our war, and this is our issue. This is what we need, and it could take X amount of years. Will you do this? Do you want, And the people would say yes or no, and then they'd figure out the options. Yes, we don't have the money. No, it's not worth it. And that's how it was kind of. I mean, a lot of things were involved in that, but that's kind of how things were dictated. And then all of a sudden, now it's not just like a bunch of little small banks. It's one huge umbrella. And now you have something called war bonds, and you have all these like new little tools where people can put their fingers into the economy in much bigger and drastic ways, since all of the banks were under one umbrella. So essentially, war bonds were like, all of the wars have been funded by the Fed. None of the wars were funded by the people. Not World War I, II, III, Vietnam, anything, Gulf, whatever we've been involved in has been funded by the Fed. And so now, because of this 1913 Act, the Fed can print money, and they can print money over the entire umbrella of the economy with all the banks. And they decided not to keep the 25% inside in their deposits. They decided to change it to around 10 to 13%, depending on the bank. Nowadays, by the way, it's 0. Sorry, I don't know how well this is. I don't have the feedback, but right now it's 0 to 10%. It's very common to be at 3 or 4. So, meaning, put in $100, they only need to put 3 or 4 in the vault. The rest of it they can gamble with. So when you put in, you put $20,000 down in a house, $40,000 down in a house. It's like, well, now they can take that $40,000 and they can leverage trade it essentially, and with money that's not theirs, right? So they just had a lot more money to gamble with. So 1913 to just a few years later, all of a sudden the war happened. Oh, yay, this is what's kind of weird too, is everyone thinks that we just funded a world war right after this. We went to war. It's like, this is supposed to fix all of our problems. And then now we went to war, and now that war costs money. And anyways, so war took place, right? Came back around 1917 to like 1920, right? When was World War I? I should know this stuff. 1914 to 1918. There you go. So, like, guys, Christmas of the year before, they signed a document showing that all the banks now are under control of the Fed. And the Fed is the one that prints the money, that controls the money, and then the Fed loans it out to the banks. And then not even a year later, we now hop into a war. It's funded by that Fed. And it goes on to 1918. Everyone gets back. It's when the first pandemic actually took place, right? It's the first time everyone around the world went around the world meeting one another. Travel was first major world travel was a war. That's kind of funny. Not funny, more sad and depressing, but yeah. So then the 1920s take place. Okay, so then we have the war. Now we owe a bunch of money for that war. We have the 1920s, the big economic boom. The big economic boom where all these great inventions took place, highways got built, and electricity became nationwide and normalized. Like, all these like really cool things are being developed in the country, and then the Great Depression takes place, right? Not even 10 years later, we're now or 10 years later, right? We hit the Great Depression. So essentially, 10 years after we got back from war, And so if you look at, a lot of times they say, well, it was the roaring 20s, all the building we did and all the works that we did, which didn't help because, like, for example, the highway systems, a lot of this stuff was federally funded, which wasn't available as easily before the Fed was able to loan the government money and do all these. By the way, this has happened in Spain, in Greece, and in Rome, and like, you look back in history, this path I'm talking about, it's the exact same. I mean, the names and time dates and everything, but the important part, things, it's the exact same. But anyway, so now we're in the Great Depression. Great. Create the Fed. Our dollar gets destroyed as we fund war, and then as we come back to build our, economy back or whatever, we end up obviously having the 1929 crash that lasted forever, and essentially it pretty much ended right before World War II took place. But yeah, so great. We fixed a problem that was a problem since the nation was created in 1913. They finally figured it out. From 1907 into 1913, they took all of that time. The 1907 crash is what sparked this, really, but all that time to create the Fed to help protect our economy. And then all of a sudden, and now we're in the greatest depression the country has ever seen, and it lasts longer than like all of our, like 2008, like when a lot of these things took place. It did not take us 10 years, to recover. So yeah. Again, we went through another war, and it was funded by the Fed. So now this is the other important date. So first, we're screwed. The money is controlled by a government and large business by the way, the Fed is owned by the biggest banks too. So like the people who actually make money and who are actually receiving money from the Fed, you can't even figure out who they are. They won't tell you. They don't know. You see who's on the board, but the people who created the Fed is big business, banks, and the government. And what happens every single time the economy just gets destroyed? The banks get bailed out by governments helping them. And so this right here, just this, you guys, the Fed being created, this has created this machine that started, and there's a lot of more moving parts to accelerate this machine. But, this was created to essentially get more money from you and me, and put more money into the 1%'s pockets. And again, like over 200 examples of this, with nations falling, like big ones, Rome, right? Spain, even currently, like Venezuela, for instance, was probably the most recent, like crazy hyperinflation, 1,000,000% in a year. So yeah, we're screwed. And then this was the next big thing that screwed us over. So after World War II, before the war ended, by the way, which is kind of weird. I'm sure there's a reason for that, but I was like, wait, the war didn't even end yet, and this agreement took place. But the Bretton Woods Agreement. So in 1944, Europe and Canada and the United States and a bunch of the European Union countries got together, and they decided on this agreement as to where, and the issue was, the world trade wasn't really a big thing. So like, you want to buy oil, well, Russia, we have rupees, we have, dinero, we have, USD, we have, so it's like, we have all these different currencies, and in order to buy oil, a country needs billions or trillions of dollars worth of that currency, right? And they're constantly doing trades. So Bretton Woods was an agreement that the biggest countries in the world decided that the United States dollar was the dollar that was going to be backed was going to be the dollar backed by their currency. So So even though like you're trading in Canadian dollars or rupees or whatever the case, their economy, their dollar is backed by your dollar. So anyone can take their currency and trade it for your dollar. But it also made it where now all these countries had to have just billions of dollars of United States dollars in their reserves, because now Russia can't just buy oil from whatever they with rupees or with whatever currency they're using, or they happen to have in reserves. They have to buy United States dollars. So all these countries had to buy these huge, massive reserves of United States dollars, and so it became, the United States dollar kind of became the dollar that's backed by all these other countries' currencies. The majority of the major countries, and then the United States itself was backed by gold. So everybody was protected. Trade around the world was good, right? And that was the kind of idea behind it. And a lot of people think the United States has always been like the world dollar. That's not the case. The United States world is like I don't think it's actually even gone over like 90% or 93%, but it fluctuates between like 40 and 80%, 70% of the world's currency is traded and mostly used on United States dollars. But this essentially was the big boom, and now the majority of the world was now officially running on US dollars. So didn't mean that you can go to Mexico and buy stuff with a dollar, but it meant that if Mexico wanted to buy oil, they had to buy it with United States dollars. So this was big for the United States. Now, here's what the United States did during this downfall. And there's a really cool, dude, this is so cool. I freaking love this guy. I can't remember his name, but France Prime Minister calling out the USA for using the world as their piggy bank. It's black and white. Bleh. Bleh. History. Oh my gosh. I really thought it was going to be. Was it France? Prime Minister calling out USA for money. 1960s. It's like late 1960s, I think. This is gonna bother me now. It's not even pulling up anything. They've already taken control of the internet. I knew it. What just booped? Oh, someone sent a chat. Not Instagram. Oh, what's up? What's up, TikTok? I don't know why. Maybe it wasn't France. Am I blanking on that? Sorry, guys. I really need to figure this out. Why? What is happening? There you go. Prime Minister, USA, money, speech. All right, Gemini, or all right, I guess ChatGPT. So, before, wait. So when Richard Nixon wasn't. When Richard Nixon was president. So when Richard Nixon was president, he got called out by the French Prime Minister, I believe, for using the world as their piggy bank. And they eventually sent a warship over to the United States to get their gold back. And when that happened, the United States went off the gold standard. Who was that president? What was that speech? Help me out here. Thanks.
You're referring to an event during the presidency of Charles de Gaulle of France and President Richard Nixon of the United States.
Charles de Gaulle.
That's right, Charles de Gaulle.
Charles de Gaulle. Oh my gosh, I'm spelling every word wrong. Hey, thanks, appreciate it. Thank you, Scribe. All right. You gotta be nice to your AIs. Speech? What is going on? There it is. This is surreal. I cannot believe how long that took to find. All right, I want to save this. I'll save it to watch later for now. Oh crap. Anyways, but yeah, you watch this, dude. This guy's bad A. I mean, I just feel like anybody who calls out the United States for their crap, you know, a superpower, the underdog type of thing, especially if they're doing crappy stuff. But anyways, but yeah, so the prime minister essentially called out the United States and was like, dude, we just made an agreement with you guys in 1944 to essentially allow us to trade easier. But what you're doing is essentially all of this money that you've given out, you've essentially used. And now we feel like you're printing money, you're doing shady deals, you don't actually have the reserves that you're talking about. There's no way the United States can be this profitable. How is it that all these countries are not as profitable as the United States? This is essentially what he's saying. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing and doing it horribly, but he was just like, dude, everyone is struggling. Like nobody is thriving, and yet somehow the United States is just kicking A. And obviously, you remember the 50s, remember that good times, right? Anyways, and then all of a sudden, 60s, 70s rolled around and it started going downhill, right? Well, that was about the time we got called out. But anyways, so he actually sent a warship. Can you imagine that? The French prime minister sent a warship to the United States and said, give us our gold. I mean, I'm paraphrasing. He didn't say that, right? But if you send a warship to another country, you're saying, do this, and F you, by the way. Do this, you mother effer, right? But they do. That's so crazy. When I read that, I was just like, no way, dude. Anyways, that should be a story on YouTube. I haven't seen a single video talk about that. But they sent a warship, and then all of a sudden, Richard Nixon said, actually, we're not going to be backed by gold anymore. So if anyone has gold, or if anyone wants their gold, figure it out on your own. We're no longer pegging gold to the dollar. So you can't trade in your dollar for gold anymore. So yeah, have a good one, guys. And so that's what Richard Nixon said. Actually, I just saw the Richard Nixon one. That's what he said I just saw the clip. Even though I'm not searching for him. I am France. In this video.
I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets, except in amounts and conditions determined to be in the interest of monetary stability and in the best interest of the United States.
I was like, perfect. Like right queued up too. Anyways, so no one cared, by the way, when that took place. You'll find that nobody gives a crap when like the biggest FUs take place. And I do have a theory, but it's a theory that would get me canceled. And that is the theory. Because that's all people care about. It's like literally, dude, like someone will be drowning you and then you'll be like, he's not wearing something gloves. Oh, he's doing this on a certain day that you shouldn't. Or, it's just like, dude, he's literally like, he's drowning you. you don't care about being drowned. It's like priorities, people. Anyways, so yeah, all of a sudden, Nixon was like, yo, no longer are we backed by gold. So we're just back on the faith of the United States economy being freaking bad A. And we got, armies, we have trade, we have all this stuff going on. So, hey, we're not going anywhere. That was the message, really. But no one cared. Everyone's like, okay. That was the nail in the coffin, by the way, getting off of the gold standard. Now the money isn't backed by anything. So the value of $1 is totally whatever the crap you want it to be. It's what the people want it to be, right? It's like, it's not actually backed by anything, by GDP, by it's not backed by anything, by we are a country and we're bad A and we have a bunch of trade and all this like money going on. And that's what it's backed by, right? And so it's kind of like your economy being backed by a huge, by Tesla or something. It's like, well, yeah, Tesla's big and they're the biggest and they, but something could happen to Tesla, So if it's backed by gold, then it doesn't matter what happens with any country or anything. Like, this is always going to remain the same. There's finite. It's really hard to get and manufacture and, all this stuff. But anyways, so when we went off gold, then the United States could print as much money as they want in secret. They never did. But of course they did, right? We always find this stuff out later. But yeah, so now our economy isn't backed by anything. Now, right after that took place, there was an oil crisis. And we essentially traded gold for oil. So the United States dollar is backed by the United States, but we have an agreement with oh my gosh, the royal family. Oh my gosh, why am I blanking? Anyways, the royal families own all the gold in the world, the richest people in the world. Oh my gosh, why am I blanking on the people who build Dubai, right? Thinking if I say these things out loud, I can't think of the word human being. What is this? Like skin, and they walk around. The mouth does this. Anyways, we made an agreement with them that essentially made it where nobody could buy oil unless it was with the United States dollar. So then it became the standard on gold, and that's kind of been the thing since then. Now, the next thing that happened was the 2008 crash. Oh, yeah, they did mark it. It's hard to find these graphs that actually work. But it's the 2008 crash. And this was a huge pivotal moment, because this is when the United States got permission to print what they called quantitative easing, meaning they printed money that came in from nowhere, no value, came from no GDP, came from no trade, nothing, just out of thin air. And they insert it into the economy to stimulate growth. And hopefully they can make that money back, or I don't know what their plan is. There's never any plan to make that money back. Whatever that plan is, it's immediately forgot about and never done. Our plan is to print more money later on to pay that off. That's the plan. But that's when helicopter money, that term, started coming around. This is when in 2008, you now had the ability, again, to print as much money as you want. So like in 2020, 2021, 80% of all the money that's ever existed in the United States was all the money that's existed from the beginning of the country until now. Over 80% of it was printed in a year and a half. So now they can print as much money. So what happens when, you let's say your economy is worth 1 trillion and then they print 1 trillion and now you have 2 trillion out of nowhere. Well, now like your money is now it's worth half as much. But that's not the way they do math. If they double the amount of money in circulation, they say, well, now we have double the money to buy new things and stimulate growth, and now this could actually 3x the economy, or they'll make something up. But no, if if there's 10 of us, right, and we each have $1, and there's something for sale for, for $1 or whatever, and then all of a sudden, everybody gets an extra dollar for free, and the person who's selling that thing knows it. Well, they just doubled their money for free, so why shouldn't I double my price of my goods? And that's the way people think, and so people actually do that. And so like, it doesn't matter what plan people have, that's what actually takes place. So we just keep getting more and more and more and more in debt. Now, this is actually something I literally have never heard anyone, not a single person, talk about this. I'm sure I found out through somebody. I'm sure I didn't just randomly find out on an article, but in 2002, the day. Look, this sounds like a conspiracy theory. It sounds like I'm making this up, and it sounds like I'm trying to go on to some. I love conspiracy theories. They're fun to play with. They're fun to believe in. Whatever. I don't actually believe in a lot of them. I just like to It's just fun to play with the idea or whatever. But when it comes down to like reality, it's like, well, here's the facts. Well, but anyway, so here's the facts. Donald Rumsfeld. This is also something you probably can't find, I'd bet. Even I keyword the crap out of it. Donald Rumsfeld. Oh look, I even keyworded it because I've pulled this up before. He literally lost. He lost a third of the entire country's debt. He lost a third of it. And you're like, I don't know where it went. Record keeping. 1/3. Can you imagine like somebody going on TV right now and being like, hey, yeah, we're $33 trillion in debt. But sorry, $11 trillion. I don't know what happened to it. It got lost. But that's what took place. At the time, this was 1/3. But this is him. The day before 9/11, guys. The day before.
Reports that say that something hasn't happened are always interesting to me, because as we know, there are known knowns. There are things we know. We also know there are known unknowns. That is to say, we know there are some things we do not know. But there are also unknown unknowns. The ones we don't know, we don't know.
Oh, that's not it. Wait, was this it?
Fail to adapt. And the fact that they can fail and die is what provides the incentive to survive. But governments can't die. So we need to find other incentives for bureaucracy to adapt and improve. The technology revolution has transformed organizations across the private sector. But not ours, not fully, not yet. We are, as they say, tangled in our anchor chain. Our financial systems are decades old. According to some estimates, we cannot track $2.3 trillion in transactions. We cannot share information from floor to floor in this building because it's stored on dozens of different technological systems that are inaccessible or incompatible.
This is when the economy had $6 trillion in debt. What a joke. Just think about that. Which means, in reality, it means most of that is black op stuff. It's the government has as much money as they want, and they do anything they want because they're just going to print money, and the only ones that really suffer from it are the people who are at the bottom of the food chain, which is the 99%. So weird. I have a stream that's like really, it's like 20 minutes behind. Why are you that laggy? Well, the video's fine. It's weird. Anyways, so yeah, and then after 2008, that was it. So nothing really has happened since 2008. Things have just gotten worse, but the quantitative easing has just gotten faster, and it's happened more frequently. And so if we go to look at how many times has QE happened in USA? 4 times. What? Can you give me the chart I clicked on? That'd be dope. You know what really... something happened with Google, and they don't want you saving photos. It's so hard to like get what you're trying to look at when it comes to the photo. They make you do all these weird hoops. And on the app too, like they've taken away, you have to go through extra steps to get the photo. Anyways, so yeah, they've no, it's happened more than this. Yeah, it's happened more than, anyways, but they just print money. But yeah, and they print a lot. So and there's nothing you can do about it. And by the way, that everything I've been talking about the last hour or whatever, that's literally how every single economy has crashed. They went from being backed by gold, and then all of a sudden government, big business, or rich people kind of took control over loans because of all these crashes and problems that took place. And then those people started taking that money, and they started making irresponsible loans, which made the crash even bigger. And then they would get even more people involved in this, Ponzi scheme essentially, and which would, Bretton Woods, more countries involved into it. And they make even more and more irresponsible trades, and they just waste money to the point where there's another breaking point. And then that's when they, so back in like Rome days, they would clip the coins. So when they would want to print money out of thin air, they would clip the edges of the coins, and then they would say, hey, I'm going to clip 10% of this one token, and now this one coin, I can get 10 of them, and I get 10% more coins if I just clip 10% of every coin. And then they said, well, maybe we can mix this pure gold with like 10% silver. Now we're saving money, and it slowly dilutes the price of the dollar or the coin as it goes away from something that's finite and resource or whatever the case. So so that's what happened in 1971. All of a sudden, we're not on the gold standard anymore, which we've ever since 1913 we've been printing money in secret, but don't ever admit it until like the people who all did the horrible things are dead. So then when we find out about it, we're like, oh, well, shame on those people. But nothing ever changes. One of the things that really ticked me off on the Joe Rogan podcast with Donald Trump. By the way, I don't care about politics. I don't care about. Everyone gets so dramatic about that. I don't care about your left, your right, your. I take every situation with my brain. I feel like and think. Just because I don't like somebody doesn't mean everything they do is stupid. Just because I like somebody doesn't mean everything. I love Elon Musk, but he's a dick sometimes. He does stupid things. He's not a good this or that. Like, I can go through things, but I don't follow him for those things. I follow him for these things. Anyways, but I can't talk about Donald Trump or Joe Biden or anything without like drama happening. Or come on, guys, get control. But it just happened to be him. Whatever. But one of the things that ticked me off was Joe Rogan was like, well, you didn't look at the JFK files? He's like, well, I looked at it a little bit, but someone told me not to, so I decided not to open it. And then like the Epstein files or whatever. And he's just like, I was advised not to open it, so I didn't open it. And then when I did open it, he's like, well, sometimes you see people, and he actually said, sometimes you see people that are still alive and you just don't want to get them involved. And when they're still alive, it just causes problems. And, so normally like the government will release things once all the parties are dead, so it doesn't like hurt the families or whatever the case. And I was like blown away that was a thought. Like, what? Because in my mind, the person who did it, they should be exposed. It should be done before they die. Because otherwise, okay, I'm a shady government person. What all of this has taught me is I can do anything I want, break any laws, do horrible things. It doesn't really matter because I'm going to benefit from it. And after I die, who cares? I'm dead and no one cares. And then it's so long ago that like no one's going to care about my kids or my family's not going to get hurt. So I can go ahead and do whatever I want. That's the lesson learned. That's so stupid. No, if somebody breaks the law and somebody does something stupid, put them in front of cameras and say, hey, this senator right here just did this, just paid off a mafia person to go intimidate whatever. That's the person that you voted for. We should put him in jail, right? But no, it's like, oh, mafia, government, we don't want to put that in danger. Like, it's so weird that they do that, but regardless, we keep finding out about these horrible things. It's like, oh, well, that happened 60, 70 years ago. We can't, like, cool. So we just hear about how we got screwed over. Like when I'm a grandpa, I'll be able to finally know how we got screwed over. Like, no, we are getting screwed over. We need to find out why now and fix it now. Like, what's going on? Anyways. So my title of the stream is How High Can Bitcoin Go? And this is my long answer. So if the dollar can $1, what cost $1 now costs $32. If Bitcoin stayed the same price now in 100 years, then one Bitcoin could be 32. What one Bitcoin would buy could whatever. There's a 32x difference, right? So I could have 32 Bitcoins and in 100 years it's only worth one Bitcoin, right? Or the reverse, right? And now the price of Bitcoin goes up 32 x from now. And so essentially the answer of how high can Bitcoin go is how high is the world's debt? And oh my gosh, I've been doing this for an hour and 40 minutes, guys. I'm like 1/3 through the way I want to go. I haven't streamed in so long that I have so much I can talk about. Dang it. Maybe I should go back on tonight. Freak. Anyways, I'll wrap it up. I'll try. But yeah, how high can Bitcoin go? Well, so here's what's really cool, you guys. This just sucks not being able to actually talk to people. No one really gives a crap about anything I give a crap about. It's so weird. I don't meet anyone who's obsessed about Bitcoin or AI or media production or it's so weird. Like I love these like little niche things that just nobody cares about, but I get so excited about the dumbest people like, oh, cool, weirdo. Anyways, what's crazy about Bitcoin is there has never... Oh, I'm going to do it while explaining this. There's never been a time where a decentralized economy has ever taken place, a world economy has ever taken place, and a digital economy has ever taken place. Those three things are brand new. And that provides a lot of solutions, I guess, which I'll talk about in a sec. But let me kind of fly through this really quick, because a lot of people don't know the difference between like what money is. They think like this is money. Well, these are three completely different things. All right. This is money, right? This would be and then this could be considered money or a store of value. This could be considered money or a store of value, but this is currency, and there's a big difference of what it is, what it can do, and all that stuff. So let me kind of fly through this because this is important of what is real money, because in order to understand like how high Bitcoin can go, you need to understand why the dollar is so broken and dumb, and then how high the dollar could go, because that's how high the Bitcoin can go, and the difference of why you don't want to hold this. Dude, I remember when people said, teachers and responsible people, they would say, put your money... I'm going to say this in a dumb voice because it's stupid. Put your money into savings. That's the responsible thing. Have 3 months of savings. I'm just kidding. That's not... People aren't that dumb when they say that. But it's wrong. And the reason why it's wrong is because your average return on a savings account, well, now it's actually like 3, 4, 5%. It can be. But before it was like 0.1%. And so it's like, cool, I need to keep like 5, 6, 7, 8 grand into a bank account, or maybe 10 grand, 15 grand. Let's say it's 10 grand. It's responsible to keep 3 months of rent and stuff in your savings. So I have 3 months, I have 10 grand in my savings. And every year I make like $7 from that 10 grand in my savings. Or I could put it in the S&P 500, which has averaged like an 11% over the past 30 years or whatever. Or I could put it in the real estate that's averaged like an 8% gain every year, or 14, I don't know, whatever. I can put it in these assets that actually make me money. And so people would say, oh, you don't put it in the S&P because what if the S&P drops? It's like, okay, well, let's take real estate from beginning to end. Let's take the S&P from beginning to end. It's like, okay, 100% of the time, every single person who's put in money in either of those, in 20 years, they've made money back. 100% of the time. If they throw money in those industries and don't take it out in 20 years, they've made way more money back than a savings account. And so why would you put money in a savings account when you can put it into like real estate or something that actually gives you more value and can actually give you a physical asset or something? So just that whole savings account is just such a dumb thing. It's like milk, right? Milk does a body good. Hey, I've heard it on commercials, so it must be true. But what makes money money? And this is important as well, because look, I'm not saying buy Bitcoin. I'm also not a hater. So weird. Again, Bitcoiners hate money, hate like any money that's not Bitcoin. They hate gold. They hate fiat currency. It's only Bitcoin. And I'm not really that way. To be honest, I try to find both sides. I try to live on both sides of the fences. Just so I can understand what, but I'm not on the fiat fence, but yeah, I do think gold is good. I think silver is good. I think handbags, like my wife is like, oh, I don't want to spend $4,000 in a handbag. I'm like, well, that handbag is handbags retain their value pretty good. And she's really good at finding like really unique ones. And so the handbags that she likes, it's like that bag increases in value. So you're using a bag that you can sell in 3 years. You bought a bag for $4,000 in 3 years, you sell it for, 5 or something. And now you can, so it's like, paintings is another one. If you buy like an Andy Warhol painting, or, you can have these companies where you can buy portions of it and stuff. Well, Andy Warhol paintings is used to launder money. They essentially, that's a whole other spiel, but Andy Warhol specifically, I'm saying that because he has been used to, but they'll buy the paintings, and that painting might be valued at $5 million. They will buy it for $30 million because they want the paintings to remain a very high value, but also that $30 million is tax write-off. So if they make like a $300 million profit, they can start buying all these paintings, and then they don't move it out of the country. They put it in a warehouse, and since they keep it in that country they bought it in, that warehouse keeps it safe. It's essentially not enough to pay taxes on it. It's like a whole. Why am I going into this? Look, all I'm saying is, there's differences of what money is and what makes money money, and there's a lot of things that have attributes of money, and it's important to know the difference between this piece of crap paper right here and a gold or a Bitcoin. Gosh, you guys, ADD, it sucks. Anyways, so these 11 things, 10 for sure. 11 though. This is actually a thing I made. But I took a lot of what other people, call money and everything. But you need to know the difference, because this is where it's like, well, if I have this, then I'm safe. Then this is something that will hold its value or increase its value. It won't lose money, whatever. But let's kind of go through them. So first of all, fungible, right? So meaning $1 equals $1. Why is this all stacked on each other? Meaning if I have an ounce of gold, I can trade it for somebody else's ounce of gold, and it's the same, right? If I have $1 bill and I trade it for another $1 bill, it's the same. If I have one Bitcoin and I trade it for another Bitcoin, it's the same. So obviously this could be different, because if Jim Carrey or, someone signed this $100 bill, now that $100 bill's non-fungible in the sense that this is a unique $100 bill, as I don't know how many $100 bills he's signed, but now it's this more valuable than 100, or could be perceived as, but outside of those instances, or like, for example, if Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of Bitcoin, sent me one Bitcoin, I would say this is worth way more than one Bitcoin. The creator has not touched his wallet in 20 years, and now I have or I'm the last person he ever sent money to. This transaction right here, do you want to be the last transaction that Satoshi is? So like you can make fungible things non-fungible, I guess, but essentially you need to be able to go anywhere with that and buy things and not have people be like, this one looks like a smaller $1 bill. I don't know if it's worth the same or whatever. So yeah, you need to be able to take it everywhere and buy things and have it interchangeable. Man, for some reason the middle slide got whatever. Non-consumable, right? So this is one that's like, let's say if you had peaches, like, hey, a peach is worth $1, or peaches, I'll trade you 5 peaches for this, and you trade everything in peaches. Well, peaches die, and so it's like you might be able to trade peach seeds, but a peach is gonna die, or a glass of water, you can drink it, right? So you need to make sure it can't get destroyed with, it needs to be able to last a long time. Put it in your pocket, move it around without it, spoiling or something like that. So they all kind of have a good shelf life. I actually should put a middle space on. I'm actually going to do that on the dollar, just because of the fact that just because of the fact that if you put this like in a hole and buried it, after like 5 years or something, it would get destroyed. But if you like kept it in a safe or it's carried around, they last 20, 30, 40 years. They last a long time. So but yeah, same thing with gold. It lasts for thousands of years. Bitcoin's digital. As long as there's an internet, there's Bitcoin. So and a lot of people are like, well, it's on the internet. What if the internet goes down? It's like, dude, if the entire world's internet goes down, I don't know what event that is, but Bitcoin's not going to be the problem. like a solar flare just wiped out the planet. Dude, if all of the electronics got erased, we have a big problem, and it's not Bitcoin. But yeah, anyway. Portable, you need to be able to carry it around, right? You can't carry around things of gold. You can carry around a bunch of cash, right? You can fit $1 million in a briefcase, pretty good. So it's pretty good. Now, once things start costing like, one house is now $100 million instead of like $600K. Like now you're all of a sudden have gas costs, $8,000, and now you're gonna have to start carrying more money. But as of right now, portability is pretty good. Bitcoin, all you need is the internet, and you can move this around. So yeah, definitely a requirement of money. Durability. This also needs to be able to withstand being used over and over and over and over as well. Trading hands 2, 3, 4 times, multiple times a cycle, or I don't want to probably go into that whole thing, but yeah, all of them is pretty good. Again, cash does have a shelf life though. But yeah, divisible. Obviously, you're going to want to make sure, you can buy a house, you can buy an island, you can buy a candy bar, you can buy, right? You have like with cash, you have pennies, you have nickels, dimes, and so you need to make sure things are divisible. That way, like with gold, it's like you have to weigh it, you have to like chisel off things, right? Gold just didn't work, and so that's why people went to paper backed by gold, because it's like, oh, I can carry this paper around. I don't have to worry about the gold, carrying that around anymore. Now I put a yellow smiley face on the cash just because obviously, like if you like bought a car, you'd have to like carry around a case of big amounts of cash. It just doesn't really make sense. If you want to buy a house, you have to go to the bank, or it would be a big bag. But also, that's not as much as the microtransactions. Like if I want to, read an article for 0.003 pennies, you can't do that with cash. Just things cost more money. There's a burn, or a oh my gosh, I'm blanking on it, but what do they call it? The economic first law of thermodynamics. The law of it's an open system with like a 30% degradation rate. Man, I'm not saying the right words, but the economic fuel, or the fuel, I guess, it takes in order to create a dollar and move that dollar throughout the world and its economic state. There's like a big leakage rate where we're losing like 30% of energy because it's in like an open system where we can just insert money anytime we want. There's, Bitcoin actually follows the laws of thermodynamics when it comes to it being a closed system, meaning nobody can come and insert and take out. Nobody can. It's all, everything is in its own internal code, and everything happens within that same box. You can't add things to it. You can't take things away from it. Everything happens within its own ecosystem. Man, I'm getting off topic, aren't I? But yeah, highly divisible. You can get one millionth of a 1 millionth of 1 millionth of Bitcoin. You can buy an article for 0.000000000 pennies with Bitcoin in Bitcoin money anyway. Acceptable, gold's not really accepted anywhere, although you'd be able to get gold figured out. Cash is accepted everywhere. Bitcoin is becoming more and more accepted, but still, it's not really accepted everywhere. And it's kind of hard to be accepted with the high transaction fees and the low transactions output per second it produces. But that's being fixed, and Bitcoin will never be a number one world used money source until that problem is solved, and it's not solved. So when people talk about how high Bitcoin can go, it's like, well, what Bitcoin does, what makes Bitcoin a literal game changer to the human race as a species hasn't even been deployed yet. Like, we just figured it out. We're just like, oh, if I take an electron and I shoot an electron one by one, if I break them and I shoot an electron and then not an electron and I shoot an electron and I do this in this pattern, I can then take this pattern and make these cool things with it. And all of a sudden, 80 years later, the computer is born, right? We're just shooting protons. We just did that 10 years ago, guys. That's what this is. And so it's not even fully figured out yet. You can't use it right now worldwide. I mean, you can use it anytime you want, but once it gets used by the entire world, it's going to take days, months for the transactions to go through. The transactions, it's going to cost you like, $50,000 to buy a cup of coffee. So like, it can't be massively adopted right now. It just can't. But with how crappy it works and how clunky it is and how many stumbles and fall, like, it works for what it is. It actually works. It's a decentralized economy built off of the internet that works. That's freaking cool. And so Bitcoin's trying to figure out how to make it massively adopted. And so we just figured out the core technology. It works. Now we need to figure out how to make this work with the world we have now. Like, dude, we have horses and carriages. I just figured out how to make the car, but we don't have roads. We don't have gas stations. We don't and so that's where we're at. But when it comes down to it, anybody with the internet can now transact with anybody else with the internet and use the exact same currency, and nobody can take that away from them, and nobody's in control of it except for you, or hundreds of millions of people have to decide to screw that one person over if somebody wanted to take advantage of this. When people talk about countries taking over Bitcoin, it's like using a supercomputer. It's like, really? You think somebody's going to use like a world's most advanced supercomputer to attack Bitcoin? Because what Bitcoin's going to do is say, oh, wow, a supercomputer. We're going to roll back the transactions, and now we don't have that issue, and now we know how that attack happened, and now we're going to watch out for it, and now we're going to block it, and now they're going to have to rechain their supercomputer. Oh, and by the way, now we know the United States has a supercomputer, which, is something that all the governments have been trying to do for the last 50, 60, 70 years. So I don't know why they decided to attack Bitcoin. That has nothing to do, you know what I mean? So like, anyways, authentic, right? Can't counterfeit it. You can easily counterfeit the United States dollar. Fool's gold, right? I guess, but can't really counterfeit gold. Bitcoin's easily, you can see on the blockchain exactly what Bitcoin is, if it's real or not. Secure, right? Can it be kept in a safe place? Can it be stolen from you? Gold, I mean, you could bury it, there's places, but the United States, in fact, I have on my wall right there, the United States actually took gold away. The United States actually forced its citizens to give them their gold. Like, Iran's never done that. Not saying that that's a comparison, but it's just like the government took the gold away from a citizen and made it illegal, and you'd go to jail if you kept gold. That's surreal. But anyways, so you can't really say it's secure. Money, definitely not secure. Obviously, it can be counterfeited, it can be printed, it can be stolen in so many different ways. And then Bitcoin, there's never been an incident where somebody was able to duplicate Bitcoin. You won't be able to do that unless you take over the entire network, and there's a whole thing behind that. So yeah, most secure for sure. Easily transactable. Well, gold is not easy, especially nowadays. Cash is very easy. Everyone uses it for the most part. I can't go to the movie theater. There's certain places I can't go anymore and use cash. They won't take it. I have to use a credit card or a debit card. But yeah, Bitcoin's easily transactable. It didn't used to be, but now it is. Once you have Bitcoin and you have it in a wallet and you've made a transaction, you know how to do it. It's easy from then on out. It's just like a Venmo, right? And it's easy too, because like if you wanted to, I actually should have put a yellow smiley face here, because it's not easy to send somebody like 50K, especially if that person like takes it out the next day. Then they're gonna have to spend like an hour on the phone explaining to the bank that you're not like part of some criminal organization and all this stuff. But anyways, that's a whole other thing. And then scarce, yeah, gold is scarce, but we will be mining asteroids. I mean, that's going to be a thing for sure. Whether you believe it's in 1,000 years or 100 or whatever, it for sure is going to be a thing. And there's going to be asteroids with freaking uber amounts of gold. It just will be a thing. Now getting that gold and mining it and bringing it back to the earth, like, that's going to be a whole spiel, hundreds of years of price, adjustments and all this stuff, so it's not really a problem, but it is something that, if we are talking about a lifetime humanity of money, something that will last thousands and thousands of years like gold has, what's going to happen in the next thousands and thousands of years? Money is not scarce. You can print as much as you want. 80% of it is printed. 80% of the entire United States dollar existence was printed in 2020 and 2021, last year and a half. So yeah, not scarce. That's not even to mention, the trillions of dollars that have been printed in the last 100 years or so of counterfeit money. Some estimates of it being 3-4 times as much as the dollar that's out in existence right now. And then scarce, Bitcoin is scarce. There's only 21 million Bitcoin. There's nothing you can do about that. So if you own a Bitcoin, there's only 21 million other people that can do that. No, there can't be 22 million people that own one Bitcoin ever, no matter what. So that's cool. And the token supply is going to run out in about 100 years. So decentralized, yeah, gold's pretty decentralized, not owned by anything. Money is definitely not decentralized. The government controls, owns it. They can do whatever they want with it. Bitcoin is completely decentralized. Even a lot of people think like, oh, well, there's like 4 mining pools that pretty much own like 80% of the mining of Bitcoin. Well, those are mining pools. Those aren't the miners. So the miners are the ones that make the difference. And so there might be, 60,000 people on one network, but those 60,000 people have to make a vote. It's not the one, so a lot of people have that misconception of miners versus node runners, and people actually hold the record of the blockchain and stuff. They're all different little pieces. But anyways, and then smart, yeah, you can't program gold, you can't program cash. You can definitely do that with Bitcoin, but also you can do things like you can program Bitcoin to. You can program actual Bitcoin to do things like attach it to your car and actually have Bitcoin you can actually have it where it hits certain prices or something like that. It'll buy you, it'll buy you your tires at the right time. You can integrate the actual Bitcoin ecosystem into your business as to where, and you're not using like a third party that connects with a bank that connects with like, this can be completely run by you. There's so much stuff you can do. Every single thing you see in crypto can be done on Bitcoin. But yeah, here's kind of my in chart of what makes money. And again, I'm not against gold. I think gold's great. I think silver's great. I think cash is stupid. I hate it. Money is so money. I just called it money. Currency is so dumb. And the keeping money in your savings account, it's like the worst advice, I feel like. And that was like a standard. It's so weird how people's minds think. The other day someone said, oh wow, Bitcoin crashed like 6K. Like, that's what you have to say? The last time I saw you, Bitcoin was like 30K. So you're not going to talk about how it's like 3x'd since I last saw you or whatever. All right, never mind. But yeah, so now here's the deal. With cash being able to be printed as much as it can be printed, and with our entire economy essentially doubling in a year and a half, our entire dollar amount that's in the United States ecosystem for dollar, oh my gosh, the amount of dollars in the ecosystem essentially doubled in a year and a half in 2020, 2021. So if that happens next year, I mean, just think about it. If we got 30 trillion in debt, 35, whatever. Next year, let's say we were at 70 trillion. Let's say they just print another 35 trillion, give it to us. Well, that's free money that we have. Well, then we're just going to put that into Bitcoin, into stocks, into whatever. And now the price of Bitcoin is going up, but the value isn't going up at all. It's the price. And that's another thing that people have a misconception. And this is one of my favorite things about, oh my gosh, Jeff Bezos. Not my favorite things or whatever, but when I read it, I was just like, wow, like that was smart. But when the .com, what happened, Amazon price is like $124 a share. It dropped down to like $7 a share. I mean, just imagine if that happened to Bitcoin or whatever, Tesla or Apple, $112 a share. And it went down to like $7, $8, 13, something like that. Really low, 90% loss. Well, during that time, Jeff Bezos was like, well, the price of the stock is plummeting, but we're doing more orders, we're getting more customers, we're like everything on the books, on the numbers was increasing. And so he just invested tons of his money into the company while he was essentially getting his company value, like getting it on a discount or something like that. But that's kind of like Bitcoin. It's like the last 4 years or something, Bitcoin went from, it was like 60K and it dropped down to like 14K, or during that whole time it was losing value, but Bitcoin was like, it was getting better. They were adding technology, making it more secure. And so when you do look at a lot of these things, it's like the price fluctuation and the stock markets and stuff, a lot of that is emotional. Look at Elon Musk. Like, he just like says the name of a product. He just says, if he just said like, pump coin, pump coin go moon. If you just texted that and there's a coin called pump coin, it would pump up in volume. It would pump up and it'd be worth a lot. But the value of it didn't change at all. It's all perception. So when I invest or when I do anything, I try to look at the actual value instead of the perception, which hurts a lot. Because, for example, Dogecoin, no one's going to see the value in Dogecoin. It's a perception thing. There's actually no value in Dogecoin outside of the perception. It's a copy and paste of Bitcoin. In case you guys don't know that, a lot of people are like, oh, it's better than Bitcoin. It is Bitcoin. What are you talking about? It's a copy and paste. Like, it's literally a copy and paste. That's what Jason did. It took him 15 minutes. And so, like, literally, it took him 15 minutes. He was like, copy paste. And it was a joke because he's like, everyone else is copying and pasting. I'm going to copy paste too. And so there really isn't any value to that. Like, the technology, no one's building it. There's no like big developers. It's all based on people wanting to buy it and stuff like that. And so it's really hard for me to invest that way. But when I look at the core value of things, now I would have to look at it at a different perspective of this is Elon Musk's coin. This is the coin that he's going to be integrating into his products. And this is going to be, and so he is a leader in that area. And there's going to be other people that probably are going to adopt it. Like I can see the value in that because Tesla and Elon Musk. But the memes are hard. And a lot of people love gambling on those meme coins. You don't know. You just don't know. But if you find a meme coin that's, and you find like some little paths, like, oh, this is the guy who made it and he did something cool that, he's attaching it to this cool thing that he's been doing. And all of a sudden you find these like cool connections where this isn't just now there's value behind it. I don't know. Anyway. But this is my last thing and then I'll shut up. There's so much to talk about. Jeez, 2 hours. But I just want to talk about the money. So this is the answer of how high can Bitcoin go. How high can Bitcoin go? Well, how much money is in the world? Because then we'll be able to see how high Bitcoin can go. So let's just kind of start with Bitcoin's market cap, which is a lot more than now. It's almost 2 trillion now of worth, or 3 trillion for the entire market. But yeah, this is the entire worth of crypto. These squares, right? Well, this is just the Russian and Ukraine GDP. So just the GDP of 2 countries are bigger than all of the entire crypto. So if it just became as big as Russia, the entire crypto community, then the thousands of projects just became as big as one country's GDP. So we're not even as big as Russia. We are, I would say 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 6. We're not even as big as the United States military spending crypto is. So if we, just spent as much as the world just on the military, then the entire crypto community could double or could triple almost in price, right? These are how much coins and banknotes there are. So 8 trillion. Now I'm just going to say 1 trillion for Bitcoin. To make it easier, even though all the stuff is more. Bitcoin right now is like 41% at 600, and so this is like 400 billion, like half a trillion. So let's say Bitcoin was around half a trillion, so at the time. But yeah, so all the gold is worth 11.5. So if it just got to be as big as gold, there's a 20x, 15x or whatever. If Bitcoin only became as big as the top 5 richest people, then Bitcoin's from its current price of around 2 trillion, Bitcoin will 6x. So as you go down, just the top, the S&P 500, the top 500 companies in the United States are worth 36 trillion. And so again, people are also looking at Bitcoin as like, Bitcoin is a token, a company, a coin. It's not a token, a company, a coin. It's an economy. It's a decentralized economy is what it is. So that's what Bitcoin is. That's what you need to compare it to. So an economy of a country would be more like the representation, but it's not the economy of a country. It's the entire economy of the world because every single person in the world has access to it. So can Bitcoin become bigger than the top 500 companies in the world? Well, can the world's economy be bigger than one country's top 500 companies, right? So those are the questions you need to be asking yourself when it comes to how high Bitcoin can go. Not, can it get to 10 million? I just need to hear yes or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, the GDP of just US and China is at 17 trillion, 23 trillion. US is 23, China is at 17. So we're at 40 trillion-ish right there. So 2 trillion into 40, right? We can do 20x. Bitcoin will 20x just to be the GDP of the United States and China. So everyone pretty much, nowadays it's not as much, but back in 2017, back when Bitcoin was 3,000, I had no doubt it was going to hit $1 million. It just didn't know the time frame. Could be 50 years, could be, but this is how much money is in the world, and Bitcoin is the economy of the world. So, has a lot of room to go. So again, 2 trillion. If it just got to be as big as the United States economy only, that would be a 10x. So That would be $1 million if it just became as big as the GDP. Just the GDP, by the way. So this is just of what the United States is producing in value, not our made-up value of derivatives and stock market stuff. But the entire money supply on the gold, 82 trillion, right? So if it only took over the hard money of the gold, or hard money of the world, then Bitcoin's $2 trillion price would 40x, right? So now you're looking at a 40x on 100K. So now you're looking at a $4 million token. If it just got as big as the stock market, right? Just got as big. Okay, now we're into it. The debt. This is where the money gets drained from us. We're around 300 trillion in global debt. And then with our real estate, there we go. We're about 326 trillion in debt in only our real estate. And derivatives is the worst. Now we're in the derivatives. So this is the gambling. You know what's crazy? No one should ever open their mouth. Not a single person who's involved. How do I put this? Anybody who claims that they're intelligent and they present themselves that way. I'm totally stupid, by the way, so I get away with this. Just kidding. And then they say things like investing in Bitcoin is gambling, and that's what degens do, and that's what's going to destroy the economy. And when they start saying things like that, okay, here's what you need to do. If you actually listen to that, or that stuff hits you, and you're like, oh crap, Bitcoin could go to zero. This is all you need to look at. This right here, guys. The people saying that put the entire world into crazy debt, 600 trillion ish. So there's estimates of being into the, whatever's after a trillion, at 1 gazillion, or what's after a trillion, I don't know. Meaning that the world, the smartest people in the world, smartest bankers in the world have gambled the entire world, every single government, everyone's done the same thing. So no one is smarter than the next person. Everyone's doing this. Has gambled away their economy to the point as to where the world is $600 trillion in debt by gambling on derivatives, which is guessing the price or buying the price and guessing of what that price could be in the future, and buying and selling on what that price could or couldn't be in the future. It's gambling. It's gambling. So, if anyone says, if anyone is on the side of the United States dollar or whatever the case, this is what you need to show them. So you're telling me 600 trillion is not gambling? This is smart? Or what? Right? It's literally, how is it that the gambling market is worth what is it, multiple times more than so our global supply money, essentially our M1 M2 supply, which is physical money as well as banknotes and stuff like that, stuff in checking accounts, whatnot, is 82 trillion 48, and 12 15. It's 150 trillion. So we have about 150 trillion of real money. And of that 150 trillion, we are 300. I guess we could say the value of the homes and stuff like that as well. So 400. But essentially we're we're 2 to 4 or 5 times more in debt than we are of what actually has what we're worth, or whatever the case. It's It's like investing in $100 and then you now owe $300, $500, $600, and that's how the United States has been managing our money. So the smartest people in the world has lost about 600% of our money in total. It's like, what? It's like, so the best people, the smartest people in the world, the best of the best, has lost us at least 200% of our money, if not upwards of 5, 6, 7, 800% of our money, on gambling, just on gambling, on the gambling of guessing what prices could be in the future. Now, this right here, by the way, is also all this money. This is how, when you put in $1,000, the bank now can gamble $9,000. They just got $9,000 out of nowhere. Where did that money come from? There's not 9,000. You give them $1,000, but you give them $1,000, they can now invest $9,000. You give them $10,000. You put $20,000 in a house, they can now invest $200,000 into a whatever. That thing goes up, 6% or whatever. It's like, okay, well, cool. Now I just made $12,000. No, the bank keeps the $12,000 of the money they gambled from, and they give you like $8. Like literally, that's what's going on now. That's what this is. But they're so bad at it, and they gamble so much. They leverage trade. Leverage trade meaning you have $1, but you say like, hey, I'm gonna put $10 bet on this $1. But if it goes down 10%, I lose the entire dollar. But if it goes up 10%, I make 100% gain. I make $2. And that's what they're doing. They're leverage trading. They're gambling so bad that we're 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times the amount of money that's in total in the entire world. We're in debt that amount. And so, and this just gets bigger and bigger, because what happens is every 8 to 15 years, like clockwork, it's happened like 40 times in the United States already, a crash happens. It happens every 8 to 15 years, you guys. And the last one happened in 2020 or whatever. It's going to happen again in 2028 or something, 2030. We're going to have another big crash, right? It's going to take a while to recover. And as soon as we've recovered, it's going to crash again. It just happens. And so, and then of course, what happens when the economy crashes? Well, in 2008, when the economy crashed, what happened. All the people who lost their homes, the United States was like, okay, sorry. And they gave them money. Nobody went poor. Nobody went broke. Everybody got their homes back. Nobody lost jobs, right? Oh, wait, no, that's the exact opposite of what happened, right? What happens when these crashes happened? Every single time these bad debts get hit on the people, the 1% or the 99%, and then the banks, who are the ones who gambled it, by the way, they get bought out. They get the government gives them money so they don't go bankrupt. So it's like literally a bank will cause like $1 trillion in damage, and then the government will give them $1 trillion to cover that damage, and the $2 trillion in losses get given to us, the people. And here's also the deal. Nobody talks about this, really. I mean, it's known as like a thing, but nobody actually gives a crap. Nobody's doing anything about this in the government. It is what it is. And it is kind of depressing because, dude, you can't do anything about it. You're screwed. No one gives a crap about you. No one cares. Oh, cool, you lost your job. Oh, cool, your family died because of this or that. No one gives a crap when it comes down to it. They don't do anything. It's all up to you. And so it sucks, but it's the government just, and big business, that's what they do. And so if something crazy bad happens, you're on the hook, and they bail themselves out. And it happens, so it turns the 90 to 10, it turns the 50-50 to 60-40, and then we're in this 90-10 rule where 10% of the rich. Now we're in this 99-1. Now we're in this like 0.001 to 0.0. So the money just slowly funnels to the top, and that's what happens. I mean, literally hundreds of times. Spain and Rome and Venezuela and Argentina you know, half the countries in the entire world that are a country now, they have done this to the point where their country went bankrupt, or they had to start a new economy, or, you know, got taken over by another country, or whatever the case. And so Bitcoin is the answer to this problem. Now everybody has the same, now everybody's a Swiss bank, right? And they just need a cell phone. But when people ask how high can Bitcoin go, it's like, dude, we were $6 trillion in debt in 2002. We're now $35 trillion in debt. So our GDP is definitely not catching up. And when we can, hey, next year we can print 60 trillion out of thin air. Well, that means we now have double the amount of money. So those people, so essentially everything that we have is now could be double in price. And that's what happens. What happened to all the stocks? A lot of people are like, dude, no, there's no inflation. Look at all the money we made in the stock market. Dude, that's inflation. Like, you're buying something and it's now more expensive. That's inflation. Oh, the company, really? Microsoft, really? In all the years of business they've been going, all of a sudden, in the worst time when nobody worked, when nobody was producing things, when the entire world was shut down, Microsoft magically, and Apple and Amazon magically became double and triple the value. No, come on, that's not true. And you know that, but people say it does. And hey, it did. It went up in value. So obviously, like, no, what actually is taking place is inflation. So they printed a bunch of money and they're like, here, people, here, governments, here, businesses, here, CEOs, here's your $15 check, people. All of that money they just printed, they bought stocks with it. And so that inflated the price of the stocks. And now if you want to buy Tesla, for instance, it's like 15 times more expensive. Do you really think, really, do you think, I love Tesla, by the way, but do I think Tesla is, my stupid camera keeps shutting off. Do I think Tesla is really, do I think Tesla is really 15 times better than it was 3 years ago? No. Like, it's inflation. Oh, my house, my house is now worth twice as much. Yeah. So you're saying in 1 year, for some magic reason, your house became twice as much? Did you double the size? Your house is 300 grand or 600 grand. So did you put $600,000 worth of stuff into it? You didn't do a single thing? Then no, the value of your house didn't go up at all. The perceived value went up, which is inflation. And now your house is magically worth this inflated price. And so a lot of people look at inflation as like bags of chips. It's like, well, yes, but also no, right? So how high can Bitcoin go? Well, how much money are we going to print? So I have no doubt in my mind Bitcoin's going to be $1 million, 10 million, 50 million. Oh, Skylar, you're a freaking idiot. $50 million. Give me a break. That would mean Bitcoin would be worth more than everything in the world. Hey, what if Bitcoin was worth $1 trillion? Do you think that's out of the limit? Well, let me just put it to you this way. In Venezuela, you could buy a cup of coffee for 60 cents. A year later, that same cup of coffee costs 13 grand. So if one thing is now worth 26,000 times more a year later, then that's the answer of how high Bitcoin can go. Bitcoin can jump up 26,000%. The answer is, however irresponsible the world is, that's how fast and how high Bitcoin can go. So now here's another answer. Again, price, number, all this is kind of irrelevant, but here is like the actual real answer that nobody really cares to hear because it's not an answer. Is, look, the United States, we're $35 trillion in debt right now, or let's say we cut that in half and magically we're able to, let's say we cut it down to 15 trillion or 17.5 or whatever the case. If we're actually able to do that, well, now we paid debt off, which means all of that money was used to pay debt off instead of used to make things more expensive outside of our debts, or whatever. Now that money isn't going into, Bitcoin. It's not going to be inflated as much. And so So yeah, I guess that's my answer. It for sure is going to be $1 million. I mean, whether that's in 10 years and 50, like, I don't know. I don't think a lot of people think that, like, the Bitcoin days of you putting in $100 to become a millionaire, in 5 years, 10 years or whatever, that's gone. But it definitely is something like, I'm not saying any advice, but, I use it as a savings account or a retirement fund, and that way, kind of like the S&P 500, people are like, oh, the S&P 500 is risky. I guess if you're day trading, oh, real estate's risky. Remember what happened in 2008? Okay, so if you bought in 2007 and then sold in 2009, yeah. If you held any of those assets for more than 10 years, you're golden and you're better than any savings account that exists. So yeah, how high is our inflation going to rise? That's how high Bitcoin can go and how fast it can go up. Now my predictions, which are irrelevant, and I shouldn't even be saying this, but it's fun to make predictions, right? Or whatever. But here's what I think is going to happen with Bitcoin. I think it's going to go up to, okay, well, here's also a couple of funky things too. It's never happened. So you have to put these in perspective. Joe Biden, okay, I don't care about your politics. I don't care left, right. I don't want to hear it. But Joe Biden didn't like Bitcoin. Just as what it is. Democrats hate Bitcoin. Republicans don't care about it. They maybe not like it, but they're not going to like screw people over for it. So Republicans just are more pro Bitcoin. Donald Trump has said he doesn't care about Bitcoin. He's not going to try to shut it down or anything. In fact, he said the opposite, that he wants to shut down the Fed, which, holy crap, dude. Like, that's crazy. The Fed, shutting down the Fed, like, I want to do a whole video on that. But that, like, that could turn the United States completely around. Like, literally, that one thing. I just didn't think ever it would happen. I didn't think ever it would be a thing to even be considered. The fact that, like, he's actually doing it. And then you have Elon Musk, who's shutting down, like, that could change Bitcoin's price drastically in the upward direction, for sure. It already has. I mean, just him being elected has shot it up. But yeah, I'm not here to talk about politics. But the next 4 years is very pro Bitcoin. And he doesn't see a problem with people using it as a currency like the United States dollar as well. So that's huge. So the next 4 years, good thing with Bitcoin. Now he's going to get actually put into office in January. So all this stuff is going to happen next year, which makes me think like Bitcoin's price is going to start going up like crazy. So that's good news. Now let's go to the bad. Every 4 years, there's a crash in Bitcoin, and it goes up and down every 4 years. It has to do with the halving. It has to do with the mining of Bitcoin, the algorithm that runs Bitcoin. And so if running off the algorithm or running off of history when it comes to Bitcoin's pricing, normally what takes place is it pumps at the end of the year. So meaning like it might go up to 150K. Hey, it might float around this 100, and then all of a sudden 2 weeks before the end of the year, it shoots up to over 100, and then within a week it goes 105, 115, 130, 140, 180, and then all of a sudden it's at 150, 180, I don't know, 200, who knows? And then it crashes within a week and a half back down to 120K. All coins explode in price. You're going to see 50Xs, 100Xs, a lot of 10Xs on some very basic projects like Solana and Litecoin. These projects aren't, well, anyways, I don't want to get into that, but and then a slow downward from that, like 130. I'm just making up numbers. And it might crash all the way down to like 80K, 70K over the next year and a half, and then float around for a year, and then slowly go back up in 4 years until the next halving, and then do the same thing again. That's kind of what Bitcoin does. Every 4 years, it kind of does the same cycle. But with this new presidency, with the Fed getting possibly abolished, with Bitcoin getting put in the spotlight as a possible, like this may make things go up even more. But I don't think Bitcoin's the top. I think we're still going up. And I don't know how high that is going to go, but But normally Bitcoin, like when it went over 10K for the first time, it went to 20K in like a week or two. And then it went back down under 14K within like a week or so. It was very quick. But if you're day trading Bitcoin, like if you're buying Bitcoin right now, I maybe wouldn't, well, you're going to have a 40% tax rate at least. I'm not a tax consultant. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but if you buy real estate or something, right, you're going to have to pay more taxes on it if you buy it right now. So if you put $1,000 in it and you make $2,000, you're going to have to pay $400 in taxes. So you actually only make $600. So if you do buy it now, it's better to hold it for a year. And in a year, it might not be at 100K. It might be at 60K or 80K. It might be going down. It may go up. I don't know. But if you're holding it long term, more than 4 years, then it doesn't matter when you're, I think if you're holding it for at least 4 or 5 years, whenever you bought it, even if you bought it at the very top, you'll be good. But if you're day trading it, you may not even make 200% gain. But normally what happens, the last 3 bull cycles this happened, Bitcoin goes up. It's like, let's say the last bull run, like November, it started going up really fast, actually just like now. And then it kind of stayed around a certain price, and then all of a sudden, like it was like a week and a half, just what I said earlier, it shot up super fast, almost doubled in price of what it was already, tripled from before or whatever. And then all of a sudden it drastically dropped in price. And within a week and a half, 2 weeks, that's when all the money got dumped into altcoins. Everyone made their money in altcoins. And then all of a sudden everything in the market slowly went down over the course of the next year. Some coins went way up, some coins went down, but so that's what I think is going to happen. I definitely feel like I have until the end of the year. I do think it's going to go over 100K. And it might hit that 100K and then go fast up until it finds its new top. But who knows? Like January 20th, that's when the new president gets put in. And so we may see another explosion then. Like, I don't know. But definitely want to hold your Bitcoin for more than 12 months. And I'd say anything more than 5 years, you should be safe when it comes to the price. And there's my long 2.5 hour answer, and I still left out one big thing I wanted to talk about, but yeah, I'll go back on tonight. It's just been a while since I've been on, but I'd love for you guys to tell me what projects you want me to look at. I get asked a lot how I look into projects, what I'm looking for, and how to vet what I'm looking for when it comes to the white paper, the owners, the timeline of getting things done, the GitHub code, the advisors. Like there's a whole thing you go through, and I'll kind of walk that through you guys, and then yeah, I don't know. It's been a while though, and I appreciate everyone who has hopped on. I do live streams on my other channel multiple times a week. I teach AI as well as digital assets, crypto, all sorts of stuff. So if you guys want to chit chat or ask questions or learn anything about crypto or AI, I'm obsessed with both of those and can help out anybody completely for free because, I'm freaking awesome. Just kidding. But